Greetings and God bless. I wanted to talk about the um, like how women are changing their faces so much. It's funny because there's some stuff on my camera. I think I look so um, kind of fuzzy there, but uh, anyways, I use the tape over it so the camera's not doing so well. But I wanted to talk about, so I watch YouTube videos and, um, people who are professionals and stuff like that. And I notice like the weird eye thing. So what I've noticed in the past, I don't know, a couple of years, so women were wearing like eyelashes that look like spiders on their eyes, and or they wear the mascara so they look like totally astonished and somehow think that's beautiful, somehow think that's normal or like acceptable, like to see like look, like for every moment they're looking like that, like the entire time you're talking to them. And it was just, all ages. And so doing this eyebrow thing where it's like their eyebrows are so exaggerated, and so over YouTube you see the woman's normal biological female appearance that looks like a healthy person, and then over years, as somebody becomes more um, profitable or bigger name, they got to change their face. They got to rearrange their face if you're credible or something like that. And I think it's so sad because clearly these women are intelligent and capable. And I'm just like, why don't you, instead of spending all those hours with that dumb beautician and all that money on altering your eyebrows or whatever it is, getting your circumcised penis injected stuff into your face so you look like you're a baby. I mean, like that's what's like. Have you noticed people like Joe Biden or whatever? Their skin is better, healthier than yours, and you're half his age or a quarter of his age. Like, people are being seduced into thinking that they have to look like a newborn baby all their life. I remember when I was a kid and I'd watch, I don't know, The Honeymooners or Johnny Carson or something like that when they were older in real time. And then I would see something of the movie star when they were much younger. And I preferred the older, experienced vibe of that real time, older actor. But somehow, like everybody's drunk this Kool-Aid that they've got to have the skin of a newborn babe and they all have to look alike. Like that's that, like women are like trying to look identical to each other. And they're not realizing their genetic heritage is unique and it's beautiful and it's different and it's okay that it's different. And also like women are like, so they're all like they're hypnotized by their mirror, so they're they're working on this, and they're assuming that when you're doing a presentation and stuff like that, that somehow you're seeing all the work they did on their eye. And what I notice is like like their face is not proportional to their body, to the presentation itself. Like this weird um I don't know, this cosmetic makeup of professional women kind of thing. It's messed up, it's skewed. And when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, like women didn't have all this face surgery and weird stuff and crazy cosmetics and this impossible expectation to appear like a fashion model who's a man, like that's what women who are really into cosmetics don't realize is they're competing with a size 0 male model with a male bone structure and stuff like that. And so then women are doing everything they can to hide what a real biological woman's face looks like so they can look like a male, a size 0 male appearing to be female, a temple prostitute of the ages of, of the days of yore. But, if you're a professional woman, like, you've got to get out of the cosmetic, like, narcissism or criticism of every little pore in your face, um, because it's only other women with something unhinged to their brain that expect you to have a perfect face. And I know a lot of those women are in charge, but you're the one who lives with yourself every moment of your life at the end of the day. And is that really what matters the most? Like, your skin pore size? Is that really what matters? Your eyebrow, is that really going to fix everything? Is that going to fill that hole in your heart? Um, and like folks will be like, well, I get treated better if I look like everybody else. And that's speaks volumes about the people that you're interacting with, that they're going to be so horrible that they can't take you at face value, literally. Like, that you have to look like a ticky tacky, um, you know replicant, rather than your original self. And when you're amongst artists and authors of great literature, or great thinkers, or movers and shakers in politics, and things that matter, church or whatever, like the folks who are like, oh, you don't look rich and blah blah blah, like, you don't even want, I mean, yes, they may have influence at the time, but that's not who you want to really interact with. It seems to me, it seems like you want to interact with people who are not going to be prejudiced against you because you don't have that certain eyebrow and like crazy eyelashes that look like you've been electrocuted, or that you have spiders. I mean, it's just it's pathological. Like, it's not even kind of funny. It's not even like, but my point is, if you're a professional woman and you're spending all this time and all this money, avoid being seduced by your cosmetician or whatever about rearranging your face like this, because your normal, healthy, organic face is beautiful. And there's plenty of videos on YouTube about these women, these even young women. They look 20, 30 years older because they've gotten like multiple procedures on their face, and they work for cosmetologists or whatever. I don't know the proper terminology of the people who do the fillings and all this stuff. These women have made themselves ugly. Same thing with like movie stars and whatever, is that they make themselves ugly. Somehow they surrender their first impression to these sociopathic psychopaths who rearrange a face, and they cannot make it more beautiful. Like, nothing can be made more beautiful than nature. And yes, if you're young and you think you're not extraordinary, that may come with time. It may come with a different diet. Get some dental rearranging, and that might help your face or whatever. But like, I would spend more money on like getting the purest dental product, and process done on your mouth than rearranging the skin on your face and chopping it up. Um, it's just, it's same thing with other kind of surgeries that are very popular with children's reproductive areas. It's like this fad, and it's a tragedy. Like there's just enough. There's enough cautionary tales out there, from plastic surgery to, you know, reproductive surgery, changing reproductive organs, claiming to 0% success rate. But like, ladies, even if you think you're ordinary, or you're feeling like you need to compete, and so you got to look like everybody else, just like, don't rearrange your face, like, then okay, wear makeup, or buy expensive jewelry. Like, if instead of rearranging your face, buy a gold necklace, or a Tiffany's something or other outfit or whatever. Like, don't permanently alter your face, because it shows you're dumb. You're not, if you're a professional, um that's going to be in charge of somebody's career, or somebody's major project, and then you've clearly gotten weird surgery on your face. You're clearly following trends of, like, beauty obsessed women, which are not that those are not role models. Those are not people that should inform a professional, unless you're all about skin deep. Like, so make a choice, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like, because when they're if you ever watch, like, modeling documentaries or whatever, the person who's making the model up looks, she's passable, she's wearing comfortable clothes, and she's an artist, or he's an artist. um but they're not their whole life isn't this artificial praying mantis looking creature walking around. um like, they look like a human being. The makeup artist does not have their face all rearranged, generally. And they look more comfortable in their bodies. um there's something about that. So if you're an artist and you enjoy rearranging your face, okay, that's your gig. But don't be a rearrange, like, be doing rearranging your face, and then you're some sort of, somebody trying to teach you about marketing or something like that. You know what I mean? Um, because you rearranging your face shows that there's some sort of problem, and you're not to be trusted, because you don't even trust your own face, you know? And especially, like, if it's marketing, like, and you don't trust your own face, you don't trust your own eye, you don't trust your own eyebrow, like, you feel like you have to betray your biology, um, to look like all these other influencers or whatever. uh, it's just don't do it. Like, it's weird, because there's clearly very smart people out there. They know how to play the game. They're happy playing the game, even though the game is a lot of human trafficking. It's a lot of scams. It seems to me. But okay, but, like, just be smarter. And it takes courage. It takes courage to not chop up your face. It takes courage. It takes courage to resist the pressure that your cosmetologist, that your teacher, that your parents, oh, I want you to have a sex change. Go get a sex change, and that'll make me great. The surgeon, of course they want you to get a sex change. Of course they want you to chop up your face or whatever part of your body. But have courage. Just live in that face, and instead of paying somebody to mutilate you, pay money for a spa day, or whatever. I mean, use that time to think, or journal, or take a healing retreat or something like that. because it's just sad. It's sad to see these deformed women, the very sweet, very nice people, and um, and they don't stop. They don't stop mutilating themselves. And I'm just talking about the face. And that's something about Satan is he's a propagandist. He markets things, and so he gets you to lose everything. Like, he gets you to lose your innocence, and so it's a mess, and you're not experienced with it. And so then because you made a stupid mistake, and instead of trusting in God, you trust in yourself, and so you keep on trying to fix it, and you never can fix betraying God until, with Jesus and accepting his gift. Um, and that should be in the comments section, or in the description box. So with things like, surgery on your face, I don't know how hard it is to reverse that. Um, but it's so hard. It's very interesting. It's so hard to never violate that line. Like, there's so much pressure in this world. Oh, do drugs, have promiscuous sex, get crazy surgeries, get a tattoo, do bad things. Other people are doing it. Um, there's money to be made. And folks don't realize, just like abortion. Like, when I was a liberal, new ager for a long time, until, I don't know, like until about 2018. And a lot of my friends, confessed about having an abortion. I'd never had an abortion. I'd always had health problems, so I was never able to conceive, and I wouldn't have known what to do because, I just didn't have financial abundance. So it would have terrified me to have been pregnant. But a lot of my friends just, like, they vomited out their confession of having had abortions. Some thought it was funny, others were, trying to work it out, and they did seem kind of confused, um, and haunted. They looked sad about it. Um, and I think that's a big, like, betrayal of womanhood by feminists. Like, because when you're pushing abortion, nobody makes it clear to a young woman that this is murder. Like, you're killing somebody. Not only are you killing somebody, you're killing your baby. And I think a lot of women do it, and they're like, oh, like, the whole pregnancy was a mistake, and I couldn't handle it, and this was a responsible thing to do, or is responsible for me. And that's how Satan works, is like, yeah, all these, like, practical, reasonable, responsible things. Not to mention that the fetus is then sold to the highest bidder for science experiments and satanic, eating, cannibalism. Some so-called aborted babies are still alive. I mean, it's a horror, and this has been proven. It's in the books. It's in the public record. That this is what Planned Parenthood did, and the current VP protected them and went after the journalists that brought this to light. But so that's how Satan works, is like, you don't realize when you start doing something wrong. And of course, a lot of situations of abortion is not the girl's fault or whatever. But for when it is, when doing drugs or doing whatever, like there's so much pressure to discard your innocence, to surrender your integrity. Oh, you're cool. You're going to be cool if you have promiscuous sex and do drugs and cut class and scorn your parents or scorn authorities or whatever. And it takes courage. It takes courage to be like, oh, that's not for me. If that's what you got to do, okay, but it's not for me. And it's so, and women, like, we're doing, like, women have, you know, um, like, forced themselves to be imitators of men, I think. Because women are always, like, nowadays, they're always, oh, I got to do a spa day. I got to take care of myself. I got to do my self-care. Got to do this and that. I don't want to go back and work in the workplace because I got to do my laundry and I want to take care of my dog. This is a woman's mentality. A woman wants to be nurturing and at home, but instead they're trying to have this male lifestyle of this breadwinner. But their nature is that they need downtime and they need nurturing and they want to take care of the house. And of course, there's women who could care less about those things, but generally, though, as a rule, the self-help stuff, the self-care stuff, it's generally directed towards women. And it wouldn't be directed towards women. It wouldn't be taking off if women weren't responding. Like, yeah, oh, work so hard. Work so hard is because we're not supposed to be in the workplace. I know this is a crazy notion. It's a crazy notion to me. It's a new idea to me. I mean, women aren't even nice to other women. Like, that's another thing that I've noticed. And I think it's gotten worse with this whole, like, when was the year of the woman? Because, that was this big, like, feminist thing. I don't know. Was it the 90s? What is it? No, it wasn't the 90s. It was, I think for some reason I feel like it was around Obama. And I think something happened to women. Women are mean, especially to other women. But it went to this, like, demonic biblical level, it seems to me. Or it could be the age group that I was in or encountered after that, and places I lived. But, like, women do not play nice with each other, and I wonder if patriarchy and like the structure we had before, even though women found it oppressive, if it was, like, better that way. Because the thing is, women become patriarchal. Women are misogynistic themselves. Because the power hungry women I know are not like, oh, let me help my little sister out. Let me help my sisters out. No. Like, when a woman is in power, she's crushing the other women around her. Either you bow to her, kneel to her, or she'll destroy you, or she'll do her best to destroy you. So feminism is not, like, to help another woman out, unless it's some Democratic queen bee who thinks that she's going to get some credibility by helping the poster child of the month out. So it's really twisted. And, our society has been, like, so hateful towards Christianity and towards masculine men, and against traditional ways of being, unless it's like some kind of cool traditional thing. It's just so hypocritical and void of integrity. Uh, so, and what's so interesting is that if you just allow your face to be natural, and wear makeup, wear your gold jewelry, get gold plated glasses or barrettes or something like that. I mean, you can throw lots of money at your appearance. Take poise classes and speaking classes. Don't chop up your face or your nether regions, but it does not cost money. And for some reason, I notice people like they'll spend money, they're guilted into it, they're pressured into it. And in some of these things, there's a point of no return, when you chop up your face or your nether regions or whatever. But and I'm not saying women haven't been successful. They have gone against their nature, and they've made it. They're kind of crazed, and they're doing like insane, nonsensical things. Like I was taking this marketing class, and this lady like paid up to like almost 60,000 a year to just be friends with her marketing coach. So she had to make $60,000 through her marketing classes to be around her teacher, because her teacher was going to introduce her to people, going to be at the yacht and blah blah blah. So like about $60,000. You know, like that's crazy. That's crazy to me. And all the law of attraction people will be like, well, that's just you just have to think positive. And I'm sick of this whole law of attraction toxic positivity thing, because when with the stuff that happens, like these catastrophes, like the storm in North Carolina, did those people just not think positively? The atrocities in Maui, did those people just not think positively? Like earthquakes that happened in Turkey, oh, did they not think positively? Like the people who were unalived in during the lockdowns, oh, people just didn't think. Like it's maddening, this insane belief system that um, you just have to think positively and good things are going to happen, because I was in that. I used to believe that. And what I realized is, if all, I started, I don't know, I mean, I would say maybe 2000, no, 1980, I don't know, 1987, 88 was when I started like doing a lot of, self-help research, like reading articles about how to better oneself, and, learned more in the early 90s, attended classes and stuff. So at those times, a lot of like crimes against humanity happened in wars or human trafficking or, you know, environmental devastation caused by directed energy weapons. Now, I had faith in the world, and I was putting out good vibes to the best that I knew how for years, for decades. Not only me, but my friends and the other people who read these books and these authors and these workshops. Everybody was putting out good vibes. Abraham Hicks and King and Red Crimson and Cryon and, Greg Braden and David Wilcock, Deepak Chopra. So we were all thinking good thoughts and meditating and la la la, let's heal the world, peace to the world. But all these horrors were going on, and now they're coming to light. There's still horrors are still going on as of October 2024, but they were happening all the time, and I don't think they were lessened by our positive psychology. So I really don't believe in positive like intend that things are going to be, because your thoughts, I don't think your thoughts are fixing things, because it didn't fix things, because horrible things were happening right when we were meditating, in the 90s, in the 2000s. Horrible things were happening. And like, people were still going to Halloween while children were being sacrificed on that day. So I think the toxic positivity, the law of attraction, is a band-aid, and it's a deception, um, that just keeps you ignorant. So, because really, like, um, we're in a fallen world, and we're supposed to think positive. We're supposed to focus on good things, what is beautiful and so forth, what's real, um, like, genuinely. Because if you look at just the facts of the human trafficking, of the horrible things that's done by whomever, it just, life is horrible. Like, when you focus on all the truth of all of that. So you do need to have joy of the Lord. Unfortunately, we get to be in nature, and there's trees, hopefully, things, that uplift you, that, um, make living tolerable. Um, so hopefully that makes sense. But my point is that it's really hard. There's all this pressure for other people, want you to get high, to have sex, to get surgery on your face, get a tattoo, do all this kind of stuff. Oh, I'm being independent, I'm being cool, I'm conforming, I'm going along, I'm bonding with people, I'm belonging more. And the thing is, those folks that, you know, want you to do that thing, they're like you don't need to get that tattoo or have sex or do drink or do drugs or whatever. Like, that's just a temporary sense of belonging. And what, you have a hole in your heart, and that hole is because you don't have God with you. And it's easy for me to say, of course, but that's the search you need to go on. That's the what matters. And I understand, like, people are lonely and they're lost, and it's hard to figure God out, for sure. But in the meantime, don't do stuff that becomes an obstacle for your honest relationship with God. And I think, like, chopping up your face and, putting toxins in your body, even though everybody's like, "Oh, that's fun. This is what fun is. This is what success is." Hopefully, you have enough sense in yourself that that's not what fun is, and that's not what success is. And and I feel so like, God help the children of today, because there's everything is so surface. Like, parents are they're still children. They're less than children. They're like regressed human being, devolved. Yeah, somehow they have $100,000 job, but they don't know how to be a parent, how to be a human being, because they're parents because their mom was working full time, and so they were a latchkey kid, and they had to raise themselves. It's just, like, such a messed up world we're in. And I think other countries are like, "Oh, America's so great because it's advertised in our movies about being so successful and stuff like that." But, like, so many, like, people don't they don't even necessarily have healthy relationships with their families. don't know how to communicate. Everything's like just people just keep their mouths shut so they can get the inheritance. Um, they keep their mouths shut just to have this semblance of family, and so nobody ever works through things, and then people are on drugs, whether their doctors prescribe it or whether it's recreational or recreational drinking or whatever, to try to cope. So America is not all that it's cracked up to be. It seems to me, as I've noticed just lately. I mean, I've been noticing for a little while, but like when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, you were allowed to be, in the 90s, you could be yourself. Like you didn't have to rearrange your face. Like it was really popular in the gay male community. Like they were into like getting um, plastic surgery on their face because they're trying to look like they're a brand new baby, which is I didn't realize it. What like how, like why did they have to look like a 16-year-old when they're 40? Like what's up with that? Um, but like in the past, you were allowed to look like a human, and you didn't have to rearrange your face or get any other operations, and you could have your own opinions and different. There were people who were into raw foods, and there's people into a different temperature of raw foods, and there's people who are vegans, and there's pescatarians, and there was breatharians, and there was omnivores, and nobody was like, I'm better than you. Like people were on like a healing journey. And then it became like this weird militant, like when I was in Portland, Oregon, and this vegan health food store was like, you don't come in here if you're wearing leather or animal products or whatever. And I was wearing my Birkenstocks, which was, they're leather. And I was just never, ever expecting to be like kicked out of a store because of my footwear. Especially kind of hippie footwear. So that's when I noticed like something's up, like the something's jumped the shark. But it's really hard to keep your innocence. It's really hard to keep your connection to God, to your heart. It's very lonely. It's agonizingly lonely to not do all the cool things, all the fun things that those around you want you to do. Everybody wants you to compromise yourself, but it's not compromise. You're being free. You're being independent. You're being an adult, or you're being glamorous or cool or whatever. But you can't get the original, like, untainted you back. But what's so interesting is this decision to retain your innocence, to not chop up your face, to not have promiscuous sex or do drugs or alcohol or whatever. It's all free. It's all free. It's not, it doesn't cost you 1 cent. But that choice is so valuable. And the other choices, the tattoo, it's hundreds of dollars. The drugs, it's hundreds of dollars. Got to be a prostitute or something like that. Or you have a near death experience or something like that. And just all sorts of sketchy things. When you kind of start dabbling in this, and I really feel that, like, when women are getting into makeup and they're comparing themselves to others, and and just like working on this eye, like for some reason it's like, women are like in love with their eye makeup, and they're watching themselves in the video, and they're watching their eyes and stuff. And like, if you're on YouTube or doing like public presentations and stuff like that, stop it with the eye makeup. Stop it with your close-up of your eye, thinking that somehow it's going to translate to your presentation, because it's kind of embarrassing. Like your presentation is, like when somebody is seeing you and in the front of a building or, a talking head like here, and your appearance does matter, but your content and your like um your personality, your presence, like that, the experience that you're giving somebody. And I guess what I'm trying to say is like when women presenters are, so focused on their eye makeup or, rearranging their face so they look like a creature from Mars, um, it's distracting. And what those women would actually have more time and more money if they weren't working on their eyelashes and their eye and their eyebrows and rearranging their face. Like that's what's so interesting is like women are like professional women are, there's all this pressure to look like each other, and of course there's money and time that they got to devote to that, when in fact like they could just look like their normal biology, the biology that they were born with. They would save themselves money and time, and then have better content, better charisma, you know because like there's people who like, okay, they're somebody really beautiful or whatever, but that's all you got. That person who looks a certain way, they do nothing for your heart and soul. They do nothing permanent. You like women are like, oh, how did you do your eye makeup, or where did you buy that lovely dress or something like that. But that's a vapor, you know whereas people who have like a warm soul or heart or um, important perspective, unique perspective, valuable insights, unique, necessary, relevant, like that's what matters, you know? Like your eye makeup, your dress. I mean, and the I know what I'm saying is like antithetical to much of what success is, because I see these women, they're tanned, worked out, the hair, the hairstylist hair, the dress, and you know, uh, just all that stuff. But they're meaningless. Like it's weird. Like the world is run by meaninglessness, I guess. And maybe there's just 1% um, of real human souls out there. I'm just saying, like, if you're a real human soul, just don't do the surgery. Don't chop up your face or other parts. Don't do drugs. Don't drink. Don't be promiscuous. Don't do stupid stuff that gets you in trouble, with the law or whatever. Um, like, follow ordinary, obvious things, like do like Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself. Like, be nice to others as you would have them do unto you. Be decent, meet your obligations. If you're going to school, do your homework, go to class, you know, do your best and drop off your homework assignments, or at your job, do what's agreed upon, and you should be also reciprocated as well properly, for your work that you do. And I know life is hard, and it's like it's torture. So you got to figure out, how can you cope? Do you need better rest? Do you need to take better vitamins or new vitamins, or do some type of protocol or whatever? Because I think that's one way for sure how Satan gets us is you're lonely, so you go hang out with people, and maybe questionable people, and then they manipulate you into a bad situation, a bad decision. Or you're tired, and so then you make a bad decision, whether it's interacting with other people or using a substance or whatever. So you really have to take care of yourself in order to be able to make good decisions, especially when there's predators around. Um, so, and you're the only one that's there with you 24/7. So you have a right to say no about whatever. You don't have to do sketchy stuff. You can stop in the middle of something and be like, you know what? I may be eating this pasta, but I don't want to eat this pasta. I don't want it anymore, or you're in the middle of ice cream. I'm trying to think of something that's like, and those are all like icky code words. Okay, you're drinking water and you're like, I want to get still water. I don't want to drink seltzer water or whatever, or mineral water or whatever. But you have a right to change your mind too. So, most important is have a relationship with God, because that God will protect you. You know how much God will protect you? He'll protect you because once you say, like, Lord Jesus Christ, all your friends will run away from you. And those that don't run away from you, those are keepers. Because like, do you notice how it's like spooky to say Jesus, like Lord Jesus Christ, and how people are like, oh my gosh. So that'll drive a lot of predators away from you. Not all of them, because unfortunately Satan is around, and he definitely focuses on Christianity, because those folks are the closest to the truth. So there's a lot of Satanism, like a lot of like evil, demonized people in Christianity. But that's not to say that Jesus isn't the answer. It's just that the enemy is trying to guard, trying to gatekeep people away from Jesus. But Lord Jesus Christ is the answer, and I highly recommend you looking into it, like 1 Corinthians 15:1-4, that he lived a sinless life, he died, shed his blood, and paid for our sins, and rose again after the third day. So Jesus is alive, he rose again. And that through the propitiation of his blood, basically Jesus took a bullet for us, because the wages of sin is death, and the sin and the life is in the blood. And so we're all destined for death to pay for our sins. And everybody has made some sort of, like, sin means to miss the mark. Have you ever, thrown a tried to throw something in the trash and you missed the trash? Well, that's what sin is to miss the mark. So have you ever like tried to do something but it just missed? It didn't work out. Good thing, bad thing. So we've all missed the mark. We've all sinned, and Jesus paid for that. And we have to have that because God is absolute purity. And I like this analogy, like, because God is absolute pure energy, us with like slightly less pure energy, let's say, we still can't be in the presence of God lest we would be consumed, we'll be fried by absolute pure energy. So when we accept what Jesus did, that he lived a sinless life, died, was buried, and shed his blood for us, and rose after 3 days. Like, once we accept what Jesus did, then the Holy Spirit resides within us. And the Holy Spirit is God. So when we have God within us, then we can be in the presence of absolute purity of God, because we have the purity of God within us. So that hides our still remaining impurities, but we can still be with God that way. And I know it's a bit of a paradigm shift what I'm describing, but anyways, we need to have a strong, real relationship with Jesus. And I know everything is against that. Everything, even Christianity, like, there's a lot of mean Christian people, vindictive, vicious Christian people that drive people away from Jesus. And it's so evil, it's so messed up. And I experienced this myself. So it took me a long time to figure this out. but it was, I mean, it was all the satanic stuff that I was noticing in media and politics and um, like music and stuff like that. And I'm like, how could all of these people, thousands of people, for for hundreds of years be on the same wavelength, um, knowing the Bible so well? So it's like, you know, well, the only way a whole bunch of people could know things is that they're all in this same kind of group, the same kind of club. And it came to light more, like for me, in 2017, 2018, and then of course it's 2024 now, so a lot more is coming um, to light too. I don't know if anything will ever be done about it, uh, before Jesus returns. But so it's actually seeing all the evil in that it was this organized anti-Jesus evil. Like that was another thing. Like all these Satanists, they don't care about Confucius or Buddha or Muhammad even, or you know Native American religions, or Ahura Mazda. Like nobody's anti any of those. The only one that is targeted is Christianity and Jesus. And so I was like, well, that's an interesting pattern. And then I started looking into Jesus and like the message. And for me at the beginning, it was the message that real the scripture was, he came to set the captives free. And all the stuff I've been researching for a long time. I mean, even in the 90s, stuff about, the weird, like the straw man and the Federal Reserve, and, that the U.S. government regards citizens as enemy combatants or something like that. So, and just like we're on this prison planet, like the whole Matrix kind of a thing. So that, hundreds of years ago, Jesus said he came to set us free. He came to set us free. And then his burden is light and his yoke is easy. He says, God tells us that his burden is light. That, the burden we carry for God is light. And the yoke that God has for us is easy. And the thing is, like, God doesn't have to make it easy. God doesn't even have to set us free. I mean, he's God. He could do whatever he wants. The prime creator could do whatever he wants. And we're nothing great. Like, why should we be set free? Why should our burdens be light and our yoke is easy? Especially when it's the prime creator and we're not deserving, and he could do whatever he wants because he is the prime creator. And just just thinking about that, like, what a God to me. Like, such a generous God. He came to set us free. His burden is light and his yoke is easy. And he paid for all of our mistakes. And the mistakes had to be paid for because God is absolute purity. So, it's just this mechanism. Like, a lot of people are like, well, I didn't do bad things, or I don't want somebody else to have to pay for bad things for me. And just, it's just a mechanism. It's just physics, spiritual physics. Like, people need to stop being so defensive. It's just how things work. So it's not about, and I know I experienced this myself, like jerky Christians, so-called Christians, like yell at people, and people who have no relationship with Jesus. And so it's just the worst thing. It's the most criminal thing that evangelicals have done, or even just people who call themselves Christians in like a family, like, making ignorant, innocent people feel scared of Jesus, scared of God, scared of church and the Bible and stuff like that. Because everybody has sinned, and what those mean, vicious, vindictive so-called Christians do is they're attacking you. You're a sinner. You're going to hell. And what they need to say is, I'm a sinner. I'm going to hell. So these less there's just poor excuses for human being, poor excuses for Christians are projecting their own like demonized issue, unfortunately, and nobody stops them. Like that's what's so upsetting about Christianity. It's like nobody has stopped those horrible people yelling, saying you're a sinner, when in fact that person, that so-called Christian, is a sinner. So if any Christian has ever done that to you or ever does that to you, you just turn it right back at them and saying, well, you're a sinner and you're going to hell. How dare you? How dare you yell at me like this? I have no relationship with Jesus, and you're making all these suppositions and stuff. And, it may be true, but like the Bible says, you're supposed to meet people where they're at, as an evangelical. You're not to attack absolute strangers about the most important thing, about their relationship with God, about their eternity. So, anyways, God will deal with those people, and it's just the very upsetting to me. And I know it seems to me that a lot of Bible colleges, they teach this abusive, psychotic, demonic thing of attacking absolute strangers who have no relationship with Jesus and tell them that they're a sinner, because that would not work for me. That did not work for me. It did not work with any of my friends, because everybody's messed up. I mean, like, New Agers know people are messed up. New Agers know that Christian evangelical calling them a sinner is more messed up. I mean, and I find that to be a fact, compared to the behavior of New Agers at yoga centers and meditation centers have been better behavior than I've seen of some Christians. So yeah, it's I mean, although I've got to say, New Agers now are pretty sick or pretty messed up, because they're like, oh, it's okay for children to be chopped up for sex surgeries, to be pedo groomed. So it's that moral relativism kind of a thing. Morality is not relative. But I won't go on about that. So if you've got to spend money, buy some silver or gold jewelry, vitamins, very expensive. You can get very expensive vitamins. Just don't do surgery. Don't chop up your eyebrows or do weird stick-on stuff. You don't need it. Like, there's YouTubers that look kind of, imperfect or whatever. And so they got all this work done. And there's no personality. They're hard to look at. Even though if you'd never seen them before, they got their face surgery, you'd be like, oh, okay, like, she doesn't have that imperfect blah blah blah. And obsessive people, yeah, oh, you've got a mole here or whatever. I mean, my dad had a mole, but I only noticed it I don't know, maybe 3 times my whole life, So I guess people need to have more faith in humanity, and I guess that's what I'm trying to say is have faith in people. You don't have to rearrange your face or your nether regions. You don't have to compromise your integrity. You don't have to be promiscuous and do drugs and whatever. You can, you can make a choice, and you can say no and save yourself a lot of grief. And as a young person, young people want to try new things, and but sometimes young people are a little out of it, and there's just influences perhaps. So if you feel like you don't want to do the thing, just all I'm saying is you can opt out, and you could say maybe later, like maybe you are going to do whatever, but you can do it at a later point. You don't have to do it right now, because your life is yours. God gave your life to you, so you're in charge. And you are going to make mistakes. you know it's really hard to resist, because sometimes you haven't had enough sleep, or sometimes you're lonely, or you're hungry or something like that, and your blood sugar's off, or there's a lot of noise, you can't think straight, or maybe you're just being selfish or self-destructive. So I'm not saying being perfect is possible, because things are going to happen. But when you do have that presence of mind, when you do have a moment of like, no, not for me, I just want to encourage you to say, not for me. No, I'm not gonna, don't wanna. And I am pretty sure you will be glad that you didn't get face surgery or bottom surgery or do drugs or whatever. And people might be like, well, that's boring. Well, so boring. What is boring? Is boring like being anxious about observing your experience? Is it being anxious about something in your environment? Because there's really nothing to be bored about. Like, okay, so let's say you didn't do drugs and go to a party and sleep with people, blah blah blah. So, are you a painter? Are you a musician? Are you a writer? Are you somebody who likes to walk in nature or go to the gym? Like, there are so many options, so many outlets for creativity and self-discovery or satisfaction, maybe cooking something. Like, there's no, just chilling, just like hearing the bird song, watching the leaves sway in the wind. Like, whatever is something that speaks to you and soothes you or inspires you, like that's your job, and that's your birthright, is to figure that out. And so maybe there's all this subliminal programming and stuff. Maybe we've been indoctrinated to be anxious, worried about boredom, but you'll survive. And just be curious, like, okay, maybe I'm noticing some boredom creeping in. Like, is there a book I want to read, or music to listen to, or do I want to take a nap? Like, you're not going to die if you have a moment excuse me, if you have just like a moment of quiet or boredom. You're not going to die of boredom. So I hope you ladies keep your natural face. And if you've already started doing things to it, I hope you don't continue to, and just accept with what you got. And as a presenter, like, have it be proportional, like take into account the whole picture, as opposed to just like obsessing on this one part of your face that nobody can see. So hopefully that makes sense, because it just 'Cause I know, like, when you put on eye makeup, you're like, "Ah," and just see people, like, women really focusing on this part, and then, like, the rest of them, the whole rest of the scheme of the video just doesn't make sense because there's so much work at the eye, and it doesn't match with what they're wearing or even the bottom half of their face, much less the whole presentation. So, what do you guys think? Does hopefully this makes sense? I know it's a bit of a um, out there topic, but um, it's kind of ironic that less effort, accept yourself, it's free, and it's what we actually prefer, really, in the long run. Isn't it kind of ironic? Anyway, um, God bless and thank you for watching.